there, quilty friend, it's Carolina Moore, your favorite sewing and quilting YouTuber, and today we're doing day 7 of the Mini Quilt Advent. If you're new around here, go down to the descriptions. There's links and all the information you need to get caught up. Hopefully there are still some kits so that you can buy yourself a Mini Quilt Advent and join in. And if you already have your Mini Quilt Advent and you're following along the videos, whether today is the 7th of December for you, or you're watching this days, weeks, or even months later, welcome friend. We're working on block 7, and hopefully I've stalled enough that if you haven't opened it already, you've had time now to open up your day 7 envelope. If not, press that pause button because this is today's template. We have another fun like strip unit, which is super versatile, but as we saw when we did yesterday's, we had the 3 strips. This time we're going to have 4 strips. Now if you want, you can pick 4 different colors. The pattern shows 2 colors, but the pattern is always a suggestion. You can do what works best for you. So let's look at our fabrics and pick what colors we're going to go with. Now when I laid these out, my eye immediately went to, okay, I should do this and this together. I don't know how, like, this is not really a fabric for fussy cutting in that way. It doesn't have like a good line to it. That might work. Also, this fabric here, we've only used this one twice. And oh, that little like villagey scene right there. Oh, I really like this one. Alright, we need 2 and 2. So what if I did this little villagey scene down here? And it'd be great if this one was duplicated, but because of the repeat on this fabric, it's either not duplicated or it's... Actually, it would be... Let me see. Yep, we've actually already used that one. We used it in this block right here. So we could do it twice if we hadn't already used it. What about this one? I could do this one and then this one again, and we'll be able to talk about, yep, we'll do this one, and we'll be able to talk about doing a perfect duplicate, and then we'll use this one as kind of our background behind it, and it won't overpower it with a nice little gentle gold. All right, that was easy. Let's go ahead and cut our 2 gold pieces first and get that out of the way. It uses a teeny bit more fabric to fold it like this and cut them both at the same time, but it's super fast, and we will have fabric left over, so I'm not worried about being super careful and sparing with the fabric. There we go. Alright, that gold didn't need to be fussy cut, so that was easy. Now we're going to cut our little scene. Alright, we want to decide where we want this scene. Now the deer is almost completely outside of the seam allowance, just his little feet or hooves are in, but still I don't think I love that. That one has those deer over there. I don't really want to center. Okay, we're going to do it this way. We're going to have it over on the side. And I don't think those deer's hooves are really going to read as hooves. Alright, now you can use a dry erase marker like I have here, or you can use one of those like wet erase, we call it like a Visa Vis, I think is the brand. And you can draw right on your template. And you can draw as many or as few lines as you want. The key is to get them in a couple different spots. Like, you don't want all your lines over here because it's very easy for it to skew off a little bit. So you want them in multiple different spots. And the finer line that you can get, the better. And then you also want to make sure that you don't actually touch these lines now when you are cutting. So we're going to hold this in place. With the vis-a-vis, the wet erase, you can actually, once it's dry, touch it because it won't come off without water. You can actually also use a Sharpie because that will come off with alcohol. You don't want to leave it on for an extended period of time. Use it and wipe it off because you never know how that's going to stain the acrylic. But you could also use a Sharpie. Okay, so now I'm going to take this, bring it over here. Line up all those lines. And those should be, yep, that's really good. This one, it's slightly off, but honestly, no one's ever going to be looking at it that close. Alright, now the decision is, do I want it top and middle like this? I think I want it bottom and middle like that. Alright, and this is dry erase, you can already see it start to wipe off. Super easy. Probably should have used like a napkin or a paper towel so I don't get it on my fingers, which will now get on my fabric. Okay, we're gonna live dangerously. I'll bring this over to the sewing machine, and this one I'm gonna chain piece the two sections together. So the two that I have here and then the two I have here, and then I'll sew them together at the same time, and then I'll press. We've done this before with others where because the seams don't cross over one another, the lines are parallel, I don't have to press until either the block is done or a seam is crossing a previous seam. Anytime a seam is crossing a previous seam, then you have to press it before you move on. So I'll give you an example of that with the past block. Right. So these I can sew together right away, but for example, this seam I had to then press it before doing that seam. And also these two seams had to be pressed before sewing any of these seams because they were crossing that seam right there. And also this seam and this seam had to be pressed before sewing this seam across. But just like this seam and this seam were parallel and we could press them at the same time, these are all parallel, and so I can press them at the same time. I just want to make sure that everything lines up the way it's supposed to. Gold houses, and that the houses haven't accidentally gotten upside down, because that is absolutely something that I would do. And now I can sew this last seam. And you'll notice I don't use a ton of pins. I'm not a big pinner. If you would prefer to pin it and then bring it to your machine, that's great. I like to line it up at my machine and not use pins, and that works for me. But if you have a method that works best for you, always do the method that works best for you, unless you're experimenting and you want to try my method to see if it doesn't work for you because you just haven't tried it yet, which is great. Now we can give it a press. We can press it all in one direction. We can press it towards the dark. For this one, I think it's easier to just press it all in one direction. So that's what I'm going to do here. There we go. All right, block 7. We're going to add this to our collection. I'm going to adjust these because when I took them all off to show the different kinds of seams, they kind of went all over the place. So let's adjust. There we go. Alright friends, that's day 7. Give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Questions and comments go down below. I'm also intrigued to hear Are you caught up? How's it going? Are you just watching the videos, which is totally fine? Or are you getting them sewn every day as well? Are you like waiting for a weekend and sewing them on a day off? Let me know. I'm always intrigued how this works for folks. And remember, we have our live videos, our Advent unboxings every single day at 9 Pacific, noon Eastern. And these videos bright and early every morning, which I will see you tomorrow for a bright and early video as we do block number 8. Bye for now, my friends.